Everybody talks about how useful artificial intelligence is as a tool, but I've always struggled with using it effectively. That is, until I started using something called the 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀 method. The 𝗧𝗶𝗺 method is a simple framework to help you better communicate with artificial intelligence by improving your prompt engineering, essentially by helping you ask better questions. And the 5 different areas that we'll be using is going to be roles, instruction, steps, end goal, and narrowing your perimeters. These 5 components are going to help you ask better questions to the AI to get the answers that you need to accomplish what you have to do. And the really cool thing is that you don't have to be a tech whiz or a coding expert to actually utilize the 𝗧𝗶𝗺 method. You simply have to be a more effective communicator, which I'll be sharing in this video today. So let's start off with the first one, which is going to be the role, the R, right? For artificial intelligence, how it essentially works is that it pulls information from all corners of the internet. So you really want to give it the right lens, the right perspective before you tend to ask it any questions. So let's take the example that you want to use artificial intelligence to give you ideas on creating a great sandwich. You just want to make a really awesome sandwich, right? What you can do to assign a role is that you can say to the AI, imagine, or you don't even have to say imagine, you can say you are a professional chef. You are a professional home cook. You are someone who really enjoys making gourmet sandwiches. Like whatever the role is that you want to assign, like imagine you can ask any expert in the world about whatever questions that you have. Who are you going to ask that question to? That is the role you should assign to the AI. So that is the first component you should pay attention to when asking your questions. Now the second one is going to be instructions. Now instructions, how I like to think about it is that because AI really only exists on the internet, right? The only way they can understand us is when we communicate things very clearly with them. And oftentimes when we're using ChatGPT or all these other platforms, we have to communicate through our writing. So we need to make sure that our instructions are very clear on what we're trying to achieve. And the test I really want you to think about is that when you're writing out instructions to the questions to this artificial intelligence, imagine you're writing the same thing and sending an email to a coworker or a friend, right? If that coworker or that friend is not able to understand what you're trying to ask of them, then your instructions are most definitely not clear enough. So you really want to make it clear. So to take our previous example again, let's take that sandwich, right? So if you're asking the instructions, are the instructions to make a sandwich that's going to be more protein based? Are you using chicken? Are you using, just some cold cuts? Is it going to be more of a veggie sandwich? Like what exactly are instructions? So you can ask the artificial intelligence, like, help me make a sandwich using these ingredients and make sure that it's going to be below this amount of calories. Like the clearer your instructions, the better the outcomes that you're going to get from the artificial intelligence. The most common problem when people tend to use artificial intelligence is that they don't ask the right questions, they don't give the right instructions, and the AI kind of spits something out that's pretty random or just wrong, and then they simply think, oh, my AI isn't good enough. But in fact, it's really more of a human error. You didn't ask the right thing, you didn't give the right instructions. So how is the tool going to help you come up with the right answers, right? I think this is a skill that needs to be developed, and you need to understand that instructions is probably one of the most important things that you need to master if you're going to ask the AI anything. And now moving on to the third step, that's going to be on the steps. You see what I did there? Oftentimes, steps help you kind of format and structure things along, because the artificial intelligence, again, it's pulling information from everywhere, so it kind of helps the thought process to the AI if you give them the proper steps to it. So taking our previous example again, making that sandwich, right? You really want to help get the thought process started of the AI. So when it comes to the steps, try to really point out what's the most important part of the sandwich. So if you're really excited about the bread of a sandwich, that's the most important aspect of the sandwich for you, at least. How you would start things off is you want to say, all right, for step 1, make sure you focus on the bread. Do you want to grill the bread? Do you want to make sure it's fresh? Is it overnight bread? I know, I'm just like kind of word vomiting right here. For step number 2, now focus on the protein. What exactly is the protein am I going to use for this sandwich? And then step 3, I want to include, a few different types of vegetables. What should they be? And while this might be a little more tedious to do, it kind of helps get the thought process sorted out for the AI. That way, they're not just dumping a bunch of information. They're like, okay, first I need to figure out the bread component, then I need to figure out the protein, then I go to the vegetables. So you can kind of see giving out the steps. And of course, this is just a very simple, example. This can be applied to many different things. And oftentimes, as you give the instructions, tend to give like the simple steps. Where should they start? Where should it end? Because if you're able to describe the steps a lot more accurately, you're gonna get a much more detailed answer from the artificial intelligence. Now, if you're enjoying the content up to this point, go ahead and smash that like button and let me know down in the comments below if this kind of content is helping you out, or if there's anything else you want to know. I'm just trying to figure out what sort of things that should I be covering, should I be researching on, in order to help you guys kind of figure out the game of life a little bit better. Alright, step number 4 is going to be the end goal. Now, you want to treat the artificial intelligence again as a human being, right? Because oftentimes when we're telling, at least this is what I learned from being a certified occupational therapist working in the medical field, is that when you're giving instructions to people, it really helps if you tell people why you're giving these instructions. What is the goal that we're trying to achieve, right? Because people don't really like to just, get a bunch of instructions, the steps, and just to do it blindly. They want to know why are we doing this. And the same thing with artificial intelligence, because it helps you focus on what is the end goal. Where are we trying to go with these instructions and steps, right? So you need to start thinking, what exactly is the end goal for you making this sandwich? Is this sandwich going to be something that can be created very quickly? Is this something that's going to be served at a dinner party? Is this something that's going to help you be your pre-workout or post-workout meal after the gym to build muscle? Give them the end goal. While you're making the sandwich, keep in mind, my personal end goal is to create a sandwich that I can eat every single day and be created in 5 minutes or less after I've gone to the gym. Something like that. And now the AI is like, alright, as I'm making this sandwich right here, I need to keep in mind that this sandwich, you're going to be eating it after the gym. It needs to be high in protein. It needs to be easy to make. You need to have like your everyday ingredients, like whatever it is, you can get very creative, but just try to think to yourself, like, what exactly is the goal? Why are you giving these instructions? Why are you giving the steps? What are we trying to achieve? And that's going to help you tremendously when you're asking these questions. And lastly, step number 5 is to narrow the perimeters. One of the disadvantages of using AI is that there is just way too much information. And where there's way too much information, there is also going to be wrong and irrelevant information pulled into the answer you're trying to get. So how you can solve this problem is by narrowing down your perimeters, right? So again, back to the sandwich example, if you want to narrow the perimeters, you can say something like, I don't really like chicken and beef. I don't know what else you're gonna make a sandwich with if you don't use that, but you can say something like that, like, I'm not a fan of chicken and beef, so make sure that the sandwich doesn't have that. Or you can make sure the sandwich is going to be less than this amount of calories. Make sure the sandwich only use these types of spreadings, or if you want to get pretty zesty about it, you can make sure the sandwich only takes ingredients from the Indian cuisine or the Chinese cuisine or whatever it is, right? You can come up with very narrow perimeters to help them kind of focus their scope even more. You see, everything is about helping the AI kind of focus down in order to get the answer that you seek. And then once you're able to really narrow things down, then the answer that you get will be a lot more relevant. You'll be able to get a lot more context given in order to get the thing that you need in order to solve the problem that you're seeking. So that's about it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch more content like this on more AI stuff and how to utilize it correctly, go ahead and check out this video over here, and I'll see you guys again in the very next one. Take care. Peace.